team.
Hey there, this is Malorian. This is the Orc Tactical Team, and this topic here is going to be kind of an extension of the last one that was proposed by Mr. Reef, where he's talking about the whole one with vampire accounts, and they have all the ethereal characters in the front. And from that there's the suggestion saying, hey, why don't you talk about the Ogre Kingdoms? Because they have their own little flavor of it, which is pretty crazy and very tournament worthy. So basically, just to get down some straight little rules from the very beginning to understand how this kind of works, the very first thing is that when you're in combat, you can only hit what you're in base to base with. I can't reach over characters and hit guys behind. If I'm touching this model, I have to attack it. The other rule that's really important here is that command models have to go to the front. You have no choice. If it's possible, you put those guys to the front. The next one that's really important is the whole idea that for Ogre Kingdoms, they don't need to have ranks of 5 wide because they are monstrous infantry, they can just be 3 wide. You put those things together, and there's a couple of interesting shenanigans you can do. The very first obvious one is whereas, for other units of 5, if you have that command in there, there's still other guys there that are being hit. You have to mix in other characters, and it gets, a little bit messy. You have to have extra characters, and you don't have all the control you'd normally want. For Ogre Kingdoms, it's amazingly simple where, okay, you have to have 3 models, banner, champ, musician. Okay, great. All my bases are covered. And what that means from that point then is that everything you add to it will go to the second rank, to third, blah, blah, blah. So all these characters can be completely safe, whereas the front is going to be those guys. And this has a lot of different applications. The first thing could be very simple where, screw the command in the front. We're just going to take 3 badass characters, put them in the front, and what are you going to do about it? I got my Super Tyrant set up the break face, I got my Slaughter Master, and I got my BSB. Yeah, go ahead. Which one do you want to attack? I don't care because they're all freaking tough. Meanwhile, all your cheap balls behind are just giving you lots of ranks and some supporting attacks too. So this one can be very strong and can do very well. Now, one of the advantages this has as opposed to other guys where, okay, sure, I have no characters in the front, whatever. The very nice thing is that since you're going to be starting with that command in the front there, that means that once combat happens and you're going to be moving your characters to the front, at that point there, you get to actually decide where they're going to be. Now, let's say, for example, a spot where this could come up is, okay, we're touching here across the board, and there's this warrior priest over here that I would love to kill, or a mage, or a BSB. Well, guess where that tyrant is going? Right over there. Let's say, for example, there's some other enemy lord that I just don't want to have anything to do with. Maybe there's Call of Friends, and we don't want them hitting me with their magical hammer and killing me. Well, okay, I'm going to be on the other side of the block here, and if he ever issues a challenge, my champ will just take it. So you have total control of what you want to put in and where, and it's very, very strong. Another thing is that, of course, while characters are hiding in the back, they can be doing things from there too. Now, first of all, they can be probably getting almost all their attacks because with these monstrous infantry, they can make up to 3 supporting attacks. So sure, a lot of these guys, the Tyrant will have 5 attacks, but Bruisers have 4, so they're not getting all their attacks. But, damn, man, if you're in the second rank and you're still making 3 great weapon attacks, when you're completely immune to any recourse, that's pretty damn good. Now, apart from this too, they can be having items that are going to be helping the unit. Say, for example, your BSB. Well, who knows what type of nice BSB option you might want to go for, but usually if somebody has a BSB, all right, if you take that magic banner, you're going to be easy to kill. Well, not in this case because he's safe in the second rank. The other one, too, is let's say you have a character that's going to be having the Crown of Command. Again, normally, you might fall for it. You might go after the unit the first time. Oh, they're stubborn. And then all right, I got to kill that character so they lose stubborn and I can finally break these guys. Well, too bad. That guy that's stubborn is back in the second rank. Meanwhile, hitting you with a great weapon and you can't do anything about it. So all this together makes for something that's just very, very powerful and hard to deal with. So that kind of explains what it is. Now, maybe the next step is to talk about, well, what do you do to actually go and counter this? Well, the first thing, of course, is that you need to start having some way to be dealing with these monsters. I mean, as well, as nice as ogres like to be, they don't like being hit by cannonballs. They don't like being hit by war machines. So, if they're going to be having this big block with all these points, it's going to be a big target for all these war machines. And sure, you can say, well, that's not so bad, because if you shoot me with a cannon and it doesn't do at least 3 wounds, the front ogre grabs it. But normally what people will do is shoot something at it first, take off a wound or two, so it's at least pretty easy to go through one ogre and get to the second. And, I mean, we're not talking night goblins here. We're going to have like a block of 100. We're going to be talking about 9 guys, maybe 12, not very many numbers. So if you're trying to pop off 2 per shot of a cannon or something, it's a pretty big deal. The other thing too is this is a lot of points in one unit. And so just kind of like we said for the vampire count version with all the ethereal or the vampire lord, well, there's not very much else in the list. And so you could probably get away with going with the whole other tactic of, you know what, I'm not going to fight these guys. I'm just going to go and redirect them, and I'm just going to go and kill everything else. So that's definitely something that's also a big negative to this as well. Now, another part of this is that with this command, where they're allowed to have all that flexibility, the one kink in that armor is the unit champ. Because if you go in there and you kill the banner or you kill the musician, it's not really killing the banner or the musician. Somebody else just kind of picks it up and there's no displacement whatsoever. However, if you kill the unit champ, all of a sudden they are needing to put one of those other characters to the front. It's not always a big deal. I mean, oh no, my super killy tyrant is now in the front. But if it is type of a thing where maybe there is just the BSB in the back, or there's the Slaughtermaster that has the Crown of Command or something, this is one way where you can actually draw them out. So whether it's something where you're sitting in one wave first to try and kill them, maybe you're trying to death snipe the guys, something like that. But then again, I guess if you have death snipe, you're just going to try and death snipe those characters anyway. Now, while we're on the topic of sniping, while we were saying with the other things of, okay, those ogres will go down to war machines, if you can combine that with the whole just trying to delay them, tar pit them, redirect them, what you can do is start killing off these ogres, and once they get down to only 3 rank and file, all of a sudden they don't get lookout sirs anymore. And the thing is, remember, is guys like the unit champs, they don't count for that. So even if they still have 4 ogres, and one of those is the unit champ, well, okay, that's great. Just kill the one guy, and all of a sudden you can be going through the characters. So that one cannonball goes through, kills the front ogre, now goes and he's hitting that character in the second rank. It's a pretty big deal. So definitely those are ways to really go about it. There's always the Malorian way. Just, screw ogres. I'm just going to take my big horde of Savage Orc Biggins and just kill them anyway. But, it is definitely an issue. And a lot of times the answer is just going to be do you have the tools to take it out? If not, redirect. Another spot where they do have a little bit of a weakness is going to be whenever there's a building there. Because as opposed to, say, the Savage Orc Biggins or the Warriors of Khorne or something like that, they love going to buildings because they'll just get tons and tons of attacks. If it is Ogre Kingdoms, they don't get that many attacks. So if you're being attacked by them and you need to protect something, set yourself up by a building so you look more tempting, and then hop in before they charge you. That's really going to be what you really want to do, because then all of a sudden, they can't go after your characters. They only can fight with 3 models, so they're really not that effective. And then just like the whole tar pitting thing, well, sure, you could go and feed them some models and they'll, kill them and get some points. Well, you can just put these guys in the building, and if they want to butt their heads up against that for the whole game, let them. If they ever start getting to the point where they're almost killing you, you just leave out the backside of the building and that whole thing's over. Now, of course, a lot of Ogre players that are veterans will know that and won't bother going after the buildings, but then again, that's something you can use to your advantage. So there you go. Just kind of an interesting little twist on that, and thanks for watching. Bye.